welcome to our weekly show, Let's Talk. As you all know, for the past few weeks, we have been covering various sectors, including banking, hospitality, education, and many more. This week, we have decided to talk about logistics sector, and for that matter, we have two esteemed guests joining us today. So without further ado, let's welcome Reggie Vermeulen, who's the CEO of Port of Duqm, and with him we have Roy Scaria, who's the country manager for DHL Global Forwarding. Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you both on our show. Thank you so much for taking out time. I know you both are extremely busy. It's a pleasure to have you both on our show today.
Pleasure is ours.
Thank you for having us here.
So Reggie, I'm going to start with you. We'll be talking about logistics sector. Before we get into the detail how it has been affected due to COVID, the challenges, the way forward, how do you, in general, see the logistics sector of the Sultanate of Oman?
Well, there is two aspects on the logistics sector. I think that, first of all, when we see the Vision 2040 and what role the logistics will play and should play in the future, I would like first to start with that, because Oman is in general very well located with regards to the region, being the GCC, but also the greater region with the access to India and Africa. And I think that in a world that is always globalizing, the different companies are looking at places to be able to position their logistic and having easy access to many markets. And these location must be in a safe country, in a reliable country. And I think that Oman is giving that to its potential customer by being, on the one hand, close to these very big markets, historically neutral, historically very stable in terms of politics. And I think that's something that the Sultanate is now really focusing on. Over the last year, we have seen an increased ease of moving cargo around the country. We are growing into the international index when it comes to logistics. And I think that's a very good, encouraging sign to have Oman playing a crucial role in the real logistics. And I think with company like DHL, I'll definitely give you the word on that. These companies are playing major roles in embracing the vision of the Sultanate.
Right. Roy, what do you have to say to that?
Yes, just like to add what Reggie said. I second what Reggie said, and just to add to that, I will also start from Oman Vision 2040. I mean, logistics is going to be a key player for Vision 2040. The expected GDP contribution from the logistics sector to Vision 2040 is 36.4 billion, which is by 2040, and Oman is going to be the global logistics hub by 2040. That is the vision the government of Oman is taking forward. So we as logistics company, we have full support to the government of Oman to do that. Like Reggie said, we are placed in a better place. There is no other place better in the GCC than Oman, because we have land connectivity, we have sea connectivity, right. We have excellent air connectivity. So Oman. So just to conclude on that one, I think logistics sector is one of the important sector in Oman, and it plays a crucial role to support the other business and also the government investments. I mean, the government is spending investment in infrastructure, investments like the free zone, the port, the seaport. It is going to be a major role to boost the logistic growth in Oman, and also the trade agreements with the other countries. I mean, GCC, African countries, Europe, Asian countries,
right.
And also free trade agreement with many countries. This will boost our Omani, logistics sector in the future.
Right, right. Yeah. Now, we have already covered the general perception of logistics sector here in Oman. Now, we all know that, since 2020, the world dynamics have completely changed owing to COVID-19. How do you see the impact of COVID-19 on this particular sector in Oman?
Well, in Oman and globally, I think it's only not only for the country. I'll maybe again talk a little bit globally. We all knew that logistics is an essential part of any company, of any society, and the more we're globalizing, the more the importance of logistics is arising. Today, part of your raw material are coming from Asia, the other part from the United States, it being assembled in Europe, sent there. So goods are moving. And what COVID have done is that suddenly, because of COVID, our logistic means have been, if not completely interrupted, highly disrupted. And suddenly we have seen a shortage in raw materials, shortage in even finished products. And what we are seeing is that in a lot of companies, especially the major company, we've seen the appearance of two new, let's say, persons on the C-suite. And you see more and more company having a CLO, a Chief Logistic Officer, and also a CPO, a Chief Procurement Officer. Because now these functions were a bit, under function in operation or in procurement or in other areas, whereas now they need to be put on the forefront, because we all noticed that it's not like before where, okay, now you're sourcing, we're in Europe or we're in Oman, we're sourcing in China. Oh, China is disrupted, we'll source in the neighbor. Now, no, it's much more difficult. So the importance of having a resilient logistic around you is more crucial than ever. And that's, for me, the biggest the biggest evolution we have seen in the recent years or 2 years.
Right. Roy, do you agree with Reggie?
Yes, for me, I think being a core logistics person, I can explain, I can put a little bit in a briefly, because our air transportation is heavily impacted because the airports were closed, the borders restrictions, and the aircraft were grounded, and is being heavily impacted on the air transportation. Having said that, there is a equilibrium between the supply and the demand, and the supply has come down and the demand has gone up. Naturally, the price has gone up. That is the biggest challenge for all our customers. How to support them in critical situations. So I'm very proud that to say that we supported almost all our customers 24/7, and the COVID time, the medical equipment, the health equipment, we had to move. What we had done is that we chartered aircraft to Oman, and we also use our own aircraft to come to That way, we made sure that our customers are, their stocks are on shelf and their critical operations are functioning, and that way we are confident. And I would say that, big thanks to my team. They work 24/7 on the ground.
Right. Now you mentioned the challenges, the air transportation, because the airports around the world, the operation was halted. What were some other challenges that you, being in that position, saw happening?
It is a lot of COVID regulations. Each country, they are having their own resistance. So to pass through that, it was a very difficult task. But having said that, with a company like DHL having network, we have our presence over 225 countries, we will be able to manage in a better way.
Right. Reggie, how were the challenges for you at Port of Duqm?
Well, first of all, I think the three ports in Oman had, like the airport, the responsibility to stay open. We needed to ensure that we could still receive goods from around the world, and as much as possible to export goods, because this is also important for our industry. So I think that we've got a great support from the authority and working with us, and I'm very proud that we have, and actually the other ports, we haven't been closed for one day. So we have been operating, receiving ships. The protocol were more difficult. The procedures to put in place were much more stringent, but we have been open. So I think that was for us one of the highest lesson learned. And sometimes you have luck, but we a few months, 2 months before the beginning of the pandemic, we did a rehearsal of a lack of being able to move our people, and so we checked our capacity to be remote working and see if all our equipment were working. And actually, I don't know if it was, at least it was good for us, because when the pandemic started, then actually we had reversed and we could start working remotely. All the equipment were there, the files were online, the team was all working. So we gained some time. So for us, the most important was the fact that we have never been closed, and we've been able to put a contingency plan in place. And secondly, that our IT support was up and running for the start of the pandemic.
Right. Initially when COVID hit around the world, did it come as a shock that it would be to that severity initially? Because like you said, the protocol was very complicated, and the goods and the raw materials coming into in some places where they were coming from were halted, and you had the aircraft issue too, like the operations were halted. Initially, what kind of, how did you see COVID affecting the sector? What was your initial reaction to COVID in Oman?
Nobody knew at the time, and I remember we went to extremely, actually extreme measures of saying that the virus could travel on the parcels and they needed to be sanitized, and so we went really far, but nobody knew. So it was new. What I can praise is that I think Oman took its time to assess the situation, have not been too quick to close, not too quick to open. I think that we've been able to have what I would call a healthy management of the crisis. We had some lockdowns, but the entire world had some lockdowns. So now we are reopening. So I think that at the end we have been able, with the support of the government, to mitigate as much as we could with the information we had in hand, the consequences.
Right. Roy, do you want to add to it?
Yeah, from our side, our first priority was to take care of our employees, because we have approached the Ministry of Health and we got all our employees vaccinated, because they are the people working on the ground. It's very critical that. Then our own offices, we got almost 5 offices in Oman. So then we shifted, we put the shift system. And I'm very proud that with the support of Ministry of Health and all, we will be able to transport the vaccines on time, and it is really helped us, and it really. So I will say that I will take the positive note that we were happy that we could support Oman in these critical times.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, if I'm not wrong, things have started looking better. Things have started opening up, events and conferences, a lot of things have started happening in the Sultanate. Talking about logistics sector, how do you see the recovery so far?
After the COVID, there is, we need to take the positive side of it. And the customer thinking process and the way the companies are operating is completely changed. You take the case of digitalization. People started using the system more, and there is an initiative from the Ministry of Transport for the paperless forwarding. Paperless forwarding, that was we were not supposed to do all the transactions to the bank, and we were not supposed to face-to-face contacts. So that really helped. So the people thinking about, the customer thinking about how effectively they can get their services, they are not bothered about the cost and the competition. So that is what in the complete environment change. So that's what, and the way we are working using artificial intelligence on our business, we are highly using that. There's a research from one of the organizations. It says that almost 79% of the logistic professionals, they're saying that artificial intelligence is the core competency going forward in a company. And out of 88% of that logistic people saying that this AI help to manage the risk management, and this due to COVID situations and all, we don't know how the situation is going. This AI really help to improve the business. Right. So that's what that is a takeaway for us, and we are taking it as a positive side.
Right. Yeah. Reggie, how do you see the recovery of the sector so far?
Well, we had an explosion of since last summer roughly. We had an explosion in demand in Europe, in United States. We have still shortage of supply from Asia, etc. And also there's a lot of containers and means of transport that are blocked in some areas of the world. So for the moment, the recovery is difficult. The price have skyrocketed. The price of transport in general are sometimes being multiplied by 10 in some places. So I think that this level of extreme is not sustainable neither. I think during the crisis we went to close to zero, no more transport. Now everybody needs to move something, but there is not enough means of transport. and the prices are going too high, which is also unfortunately fueling also the inflation in general. So I think that the situation we are in now is not healthy. We cannot. It has to go down to a more in between levels.
Right.
I think that that what we're seeing in the last 2 years is a bit these peaks were very low or very high, and I think we have to, as soon as possible, normalize by having the different means of transport, getting back on track the backlog that are in some areas of the world being released. So it's a dynamic that is happening that will take some time. If we remember, the blockage of the Suez Canal have taken months. We don't realize that, but to also reabsorb it. So these are kind of things that did not help, and now we are in again this extreme phase, and hopefully we'll get to something a little bit more normal.
Yeah.
Quickly.
But do you believe that despite all the negativity or all the negative impacts that COVID has brought, around the globe, it has also given somehow a little bit of boost to this particular sector?
Yes. I mean, for me, the biggest boost that it have shown is the importance of it. I think that logistics was sometimes taken for granted. And I think now people are realizing that actually it is really important to have a efficient, well-organized, well-thought logistic around all our lives, because they're touching each of us. So I think that on that, we see an increase in R&D possibilities. People, you were mentioning before the AI, etc. We see investment into how to make it more efficient. I think that the industry is also getting more green. In its form, we have all the means like for B2C, but you can tell much more about it. All the usage of drones and the last mile delivery. So we are getting to an exciting time where we're getting out of the standard big movement from one point to the other one to a much more agile movement of goods around the world. So I think that on that, I personally still see a lot of potential and a lot of interesting years ahead and challenges ahead.
Right. Roy, what do you have to say?
I mean, the takeaway from the COVID, I completely agree with Rajiv what he said. The new technologies and the importance of logistics is even framed in front of everyone. I mean, so again, the customer has to, their own thinking process, but that process has been changed. Now they're looking for resilience, not on the cost, and not on the competitiveness. So they have to get their work done. So, and also, just to add to that, we talk about innovations and artificial intelligence and all. Being DHL, I mean, we started an innovation center in Dubai. I mean, we are projecting what was logistic yesterday, what is today, and what is going to be tomorrow. So it is an excellent facility. I mean, anyone, because we are taking our customer, we are taking our employees to the facility in Dubai. So we had 4 facilities all over the world, one in Singapore and one born in Germany, and one in New York in USA, and this is the 4th one in Dubai.
Right. Previously I had one of the guests on my show, and she mentioned that although all the sectors were being affected due to COVID, but retail sector kind of boomed during the COVID period, mainly because it went digital and it was, easy to get to. And she said that the reason the retail sector could boom was because of the support given by the logistics sector. So in what way do you think, or how does it really retail and logistics sector go hand in hand? How do they complement each other?
Well, I can start. I think that retail and logistics is like fuel for a car. If you don't have it, it's not working. Yes, I mean, what happened is that people were bored at home and they start buying, and where they could buy online. And this implies that it has to be delivered. So it again shed light on the on all the logistic and this what we call the last mile logistic to get to the final client where you are expert in. But I think that what is what is for me important is that you have this, again, this new equilibrium that needs to happen. We went extremely into digital and online shopping and online delivery, and I'm personally expecting that this will stay, but you will have a comeback to going in the shop and going in the and feeling the material and testing. But whatever you choose, whether you have it delivered at home or you go to the shop, where the product is coming, and that's where we intervene in logistics. Either we deliver there or there, but logistics is always behind. We need to move things from where it is generated to where it is consumed, and that's passionate.
Yeah. Roy, how do you see the two sectors complementing each other?
Yes, I mean, logistics is behind everything. I mean, we support all the industries. We whether it is automobile or telecommunication, oil and energy, any sectors in the health sector. So we are behind anything, and we are basically the solution provider. We are not just moving a shipment and make the customer happy. We are giving a solution to the customers. That's the way we are working. So that is the way forward also. The customer doesn't want an item to move from one place to place. They need a solution. How the better, which is a better solution. So that is why we are in hospital.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe I would be wrong, but I haven't seen a lot of women working in logistics and transport sector. Are you both planning to actually open doors to women coming in and joining this sector when I'm talking about logistics and transport, Roy?
Yep, you are true. I mean, if you say 80s and 90s, it was logistics was always a men-dominated industry, but that is changed now. If you see last 10 years, I mean, women coming into our industry. I mean, in our company, our sales force or customer service force, majority are women, and I mean, it's a big industry, and there is lots of division, whether the customer service, where it is AI, where it is finance, or I'm seeing lots of people women coming into the logistics sector, and also for our case, if we say in our senior manager, we have three senior managers in us women ladies, Omani ladies working in our organization. I'm very proud of that. And also DHL, we have a initiative called Women in Leadership, which we have an initiative which we normally every year we are supposed to have the percentage going up. So we really promote that, and it's good that women coming into logistics business. There's a vast experience, and it's a big industry.
Yeah. How do you see the role of women in logistics and transport sector?
I think so. First of all, on a personal point of view, I'm a big believer in gender equality, and I'm promoting that massively in the company all the time. Actually, on our side also, our head of legal is a lady, our head of procurement is a lady, our head of admin is a lady. So we're putting more and more women into key position. But not only, I think that logistics in general have suffered over the fact that you have this stereotype that logistics is basically carrying heavy boxes left and right, and so it's very demanding on a physical point of view. Where with the evolution that we're having, yes, we still have a little bit of this heavy lifting, but most of it is not heavy lifting anymore. And we see it. I have the pleasure to have women on our vessel traffic control. We have a woman in the tower in the port of Duqm. We have in our IT department. So we really have women a bit in the entire a company, and I'm very proud of that. I'm pushing for that, and I do not see today anymore any reason for women not to have equal chance and not to be able to come in the industry. I would even go one step further. Even the heavy lifting now, at least in Europe, maybe here a bit less, but it will come. If it's heavy, it's assisted by whatever type of machine. So anybody can do it. So I do not exclude, and actually it's more than that. I know it in Antwerp, which is the port of Duqm is a joint venture with the Belgians in Antwerp. In Antwerp, we have a lot of dock women working on the docks, women operating the cranes, women going with the men in the hatches of the ship without distinction. So I think that over time, this it's more a shift of mind rather than a real constraint in the industry.
You know, Reggie, I'm so glad that you actually pointed out about the weights, because I honestly thought that it's all about, in logistics and transport, it's about lifting heavy equipments. Like, it never occurred to my mind there are different various sectors within the sector itself. So I'm so glad that you both touched upon those points. And now talking about logistics and transport sector, do you see the demand shifting, like increasing among the locals living in the country? Do you see locals actually pursuing their career in logistics sector? Reggie?
Yes, I think it's the logistic is, as we mentioned, part of the future ecosystem of Oman. Have been highly promoted by the Tanfeed and the Vision 2040. So we see an increase in demand. And what is interesting in logistic, like many sectors, but this one in particular, is that we can have positions for any level of qualification. So from people who are just out of school to PhDs and very high-end qualification. And in between, you have all the levels. So I think it's an industry where there are a lot of opportunities. It's a developing industry in Oman. It has a future. And I think, like, in general, whatever industry, when you have people that are hardworking, that are committed to work, and that have work ethic, they will have a position. And I think I will conclude on that. The work ethic, I think, on logistics is even more important, because what annoys you more than you know that the parcel is coming, you're waiting for it, and it's not coming because this or this individual is not doing his job. It's annoying. So we need, in the industry, because people are relying on us, whether it is individuals, some vaccines or whatever, they need to be there on time. And in order to do that, everybody have to do his job. So the work ethic, I think, is sometimes even more important, because the consequence of you not doing your job have a kind of snowball effect on the next in kind. Absolutely,
absolutely. Roy, what do you think?
I mean, with regards to the Omanization, people working in Oman, I mean, that's the future. That's the future going to be in Oman. And we, as logistic companies, we are supposed to have, say, 20-25% Omanization. I am proud to say that our organization is at 63%. And I will put this into two ways. One is why we are doing. We need to train them. So what we are doing is that we get students from the universities, and they come to our office, and we give training in every department. It's air freight, ocean freight, finance, all the departments. They get training, and after the training, most of the people are joining back to us. That's one thing. That is one of our area which we are looking for, this in-country value contribution, which is part of our corporate strategy. Wherever we have to support the country. Second thing is that I just wanted to put you, maybe media people, we can take it forward also. Oman is having, say, almost 25,000 students are coming from the universities. They are having excellent language. They speak English as well as Arabic. So I am maybe putting it to you. Maybe you can take it forward. It's a suggestion. We are going to put this forward in the committees or the Chamber of Commerce organizations like that. We can be there's a big scope here in Oman. We can be an outsourcing office for the GCC, because our caliber or our students are good English speaking, good Arabic speaking. They have good knowledge. If we can have a outsourcing facility in Oman to support GCC countries like Dubai or UAE or any of the countries, it's going to be a big scope for that one. So, yeah, you ask media, maybe you can take it forward.
Yeah, but talking about the future, how the future is going to be in the big scope, how do you see the future of logistics sector? Is it safe to say that the logistics sector in the Sultanate of Oman is actually booming, Roy?
It is very evident from the Oman Vision 2040, because we are going to be the second contributor to the GDP. So, and also the investments, which is the government is promoting the Tanfeed initiatives and everything. I will say that the future is very clear, and the path is very clear. We have to just follow.
Reggie, what are your thoughts on that?
I'll put a little bit of caviar on what has just been said. The industry will have to reinvent itself. New technology are disturbing and disrupting the way I think we're going to source. One for me, which is the biggest disturbance, is going to be the 3D printing, where actually you're not going to buy any more products, but you're going to buy software and you're going to print it at home. You will always have the raw material that needs to be shipped to you, but it's a fraction of the printed product. So I think that and the industry is reinventing itself already, and so that's why I was mentioning earlier that we have interesting year ahead, because some challenges with regard to being more green, with regard of 3D printing, with regard of all these different aspects will disturb our way of and AI and robots and all that. But with that in mind, I think that if we can have in Oman a youth, a country, and an organization that can be as reactive that the industry is going to be disturbed, then we can really make the difference. And that's why as I said, I'm excited about what's going ahead, and I think that young people should look at this industry with the understanding that the industry they know today is changing. It will change for something that we don't really know, but they can be part of what's going to be next. And I think that's something that I like. Well,
thank you so much. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye to our viewers and you both as well for taking out time and joining us today. It was indeed a very constructive and very informative discussion with you both, getting to know, so much about logistics sector. And I'm so glad that you both could take out time and, kind of tell exactly what the logistics sector is all about, and that the things are changing, the industry is evolving. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you much.
For more interesting videos and updates, stay tuned and keep watching TTV.